بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
I am someone who has consistently advised that we must show respect for the Hindu religion and that we must condemn Muslim rule over India, Hindu India, for so many centuries as Islamic imperialism, and there is no imperialism in Islam. It was bogus jihad waged by the Mughal Empire, and the Hindus have every right to be very pained over Muslim rule over India, uninvited Muslim rule over India for so many centuries. The backlash of this is that it has opened the way for this aberration of Hinduism to emerge. The same way that an aberration of Judaism has emerged in Israel. It's a warmongering Hinduism, which is not the Hindu religion. This is a warmongering Israel, which is not the Jewish religion. So there are two sisters, present-day in India and present-day Israel. I believe that once the Great War starts, I hope I'm wrong, once the Great War starts, Israel would say, this is our opportunity, it will never come again, to denuclearize Pakistan. Pakistan has enough traitors on board, including traitors in the armed forces, that they can destroy Pakistan's nuclear weapons without a nuclear war. If that happens, there'll be no nuclear war between India and Pakistan, because Pakistan will be denuclearized. If Imran Khan were to return as Prime Minister of Pakistan, then Pakistan's nuclear weapons will be safe. Yes. And yes, if India attacks, there'll be nuclear war, if Imran Khan returns. And the people of Pakistan are supporting him. It is only the traitors who are puppy dogs of NATO. They're the ones who are opposing Imran Khan. And they're the ones who might innocently preside over the destruction of Pakistan's nuclear weapons. Once the Great War starts and Israel attacks Pakistan to denuclearize Pakistan, Israel will do so in alliance with India and, of course, with NATO. With these three forces at work, NATO, India, and Israel, today's Pakistan doesn't stand a chance. So I believe that they might succeed in denuclearizing Pakistan and therefore averting nuclear war between India and Pakistan. This is the sad, sad reality.
Are genes shape-shifting into human beings and controlling the world through politics, science, and technology, along with Zionist and secret societies such as Freemasons and Illuminatis?
If a jinn were to take human form, none of us will be able to recognize that this is a jinn in human form. So we cannot confirm. But yes, the possibility exists, because Iblis appeared in human form as an old man when the Quraysh was sitting in a gathering to confer what to do, how to deal with Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And when this old man joined the gathering, he was able to express himself and give his views. They never knew he was a jinn. They thought he was a human being. Similarly, if the shayateen were to take human form in today's world, none of us will be able to recognize him. But yes, it's possible.
When Prophet Sulaiman saw the Jasad sitting on his throne, was it what Dajjal is doing now with the staff?
Dajjal is still sitting on the throne. It's a vision. And the shayateen of the jinn are convinced that it is Sulaiman who is still sitting on the throne. And they are obeying Dajjal's orders. And his orders are, of course, evil. And they're doing a lot of evil in the world, cryptocurrency and all. But when once Dabbatul Ard destroys or consumes the minsa of the stuff, the minsa meaning the internal miraculous heart of the stuff, once that is consumed, then Dajjal will no longer be able to deceive the jinn that Suleiman is alive and sitting on the throne. And they will then stop obeying him, and that's bad news for Israel.
When Dajjal is pretending to be Sulaiman alayhi salam and make all jinns work for him, is he capable of going back and forth through time by time travel, or is the past and the present time running simultaneously without us realizing it?
It is very clear. It is very clear from the use of the word minsa, nasi, that Allah has spoken about time. He says, إِنَّمَا النَّسِيءُ زِيَادَةٌ لِلْكُفْرِ, that when you corrupt the system of time, you are on the road of increasing kufr. That is precisely what Dajjal is doing. He is corrupting the system of time by holding on to the stuff. He is able to move backward and forward in time in order to show Suleiman alayhi salam to be alive when he is dead. But he's doing more than that. He's got all of mankind today, all, including all those who build all these fancy masajid and fancy darul room and so on, and they're comfortable that we are rightly guided. And these same people now accept what Dajjal has done, that a month can have 28 days and a month can have 31 days. All of them accept that. All of them. When Allah's messenger said, we are people who cannot read and write, and he raised his hands like this, and then like this, and then like this, that a month has 30 days. But at the end of the 29th day, we look for the moon. Not if we are in London, in England, we have to look for the moon in England, not in Morocco, not in Saudi Arabia. You really have to be a schoolboy to be living in Britain and your moon is in Saudi Arabia. You really are a schoolboy. So if the moon is seen at the end of the 29th day, the month will come to an end. The problem, Dean, is you will not know until the 29th day has ended. You will not know whether the month will have 29 days or 30 days. I'm going to use a word now that some might object to. Maybe you can help me to find a better word. I call this an imprecise system of time. Why? Because there's uncertainty, imprecise in this sense, not defective, not a defect. Imprecise in this sense that Allah keeps you waiting until the end of the 29th day before you can know whether the month will end or whether it'll have one more day. Dajjal cannot use this system of time to have a global society which operates like clockwork. The banking system cannot operate. Travel cannot operate with this. So he needs to replace the system of time that Allah has given with a bogus secular system of time, which operates mechanically. Yes, the year still has 12 months, but now a month is fixed in a bogus way. A month can have 31 days. Our Prophet said no. A month can have either 29 or 30. But Dajjal says a month can have 31 days, and they all accept that. Dajjal says a month can have 28 days, and they all accept that. Okay? You no longer live with the moon. You have abandoned the moon. The moon is no longer central to the system of time. Ask them and they'll tell you. We don't look to the moon anymore. We don't count the years. We don't count the days with the moon anymore. We use the Dajjal's system of time. What is the price they pay? the price you pay for abandoning the system of time that Allah has given and following what Dajjal has given, because he's holding the minsar and he's intervening in the system of time. The price that you pay is our Prophet prophesied that time will move faster and yet faster. A whole year will pass like a month. A whole month will pass like a week. A whole week will pass like a day. A whole day will pass like the amount of time it kindles the fire. This perception of time moving faster and faster indicates that you have abandoned Allah's system of time and you're following Dajjal's system of time. Once the heart is moving faster and faster, the heart is no longer beating in harmony with the rest of Allah's creation. But Allah is Allahu Nuru Samawati wal Ard. Allah's Nur is everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. If your heart is moving and beating in harmony with the rest of Allah's creation, and you perform an act of worship that Allah accepts, Nur enters into the heart. Constantly, constantly, constantly. But if your heart is not beating in harmony with the system of time Allah has created, instead of following Allah's system of time, you're following Dajjal's system of time. And you perceive time moving faster and faster. What is the implication? It's not time moving faster. It is your heart perceiving time moving faster. Nur cannot enter that heart. You are whistling in the wind if you believe you are rightly guided. You are whistling in the wind. You have to return to the system of time that Allah has given, and you have to turn away from Dajjal's system of time. I don't need to speak more. My book, The Quran and the Moon, is the book to be read to understand this subject.
Who is Dabba? Why is the Batul Ard trying to destroy the miraculous inner capacity of the stuff? Are they good jinns?
Nothing in the Quran, nothing in the Sunnah has ever indicated to us that there's a link between the Batul Ard and the jinn. I don't know where this came from. I have researched the subject. There are only 2 verses in the Quran about Dabbatul Ard. And neither of them is connected with the jinn. And Dabbatul Ard is Allah's creation. And Dabbatul Ard has come to harm or to injure, taklimuhum, harm or to injure people. And Dabbatul Ard will destroy the minsa of the stuff. The minsa is the miraculous inner heart of the stuff, which when you're holding on to that stuff, you can move backward and forward in time. So what is Dabbatul Ard? Answer, Dabbatul Ard is a force which has the capacity not only to inflict harm and damage on human beings, but to destroy the minsa of the stuff. Now then, what is my view? I can be wrong. I've been wrong in the past. I have come to the conclusion, and of course, let me repeat it, I can be wrong. If I'm wrong, you must tell me what is right. The minsa, the Dabbatul Ard, is the electromagnetic waves which are now inundating the world from the wireless internet, from your cell phones, from your GPS and so on. All over the world you see the cell phone towers being built all over. I saw several of them here in Leicester. And this is not only going to destroy the minsa of the stuff, but babies who are born, children who grew up with this electromagnetic wave acting upon them, their memory will become weaker and weaker. If you lose your memory, you can't think. Once you lose your memory, you do not have a past anymore. You live in the present, and the future is not your concern. So you will dance to every tune that Dajjal plays. You will probably find tomorrow that no child who is brought up in the city is capable of memorizing the Quran. Tomorrow, the only ones who can memorize the Quran are the children growing up in the village who have not been exposed to Dabbatullah. This is my view, and I always warn, you must never accept my view or my interpretation unless you're convinced that I'm correct.
We often hear you mention your teacher's name, Dr. Fathur Rahman Ansari Rahimahullah, and you thank him and pray for him. But we have found some scholars who copy what you say and never thank you or acknowledge you for the knowledge they've copied. One in particular is Abu Taha Muhammad Adnan from Bangladesh, who is a young scholar and copies exactly what you say, but we hardly hear him mention your name. We also noticed because what they say is not their own knowledge, they sometimes fall in trouble with the public or government because of the lack of wisdom. What are your thoughts on this?
Dean, if there are so many people in the world today who have confidence in my integrity as a scholar of Islam, one of the reasons for this is that if I ever make a mistake and I realize that I've made a mistake, I am the first to rush to correct myself. I don't delay in correcting myself. I don't care for consequences. This is integrity. The second thing is that even if I learn something from a child, I will always say, I learned it from that child, because that is integrity. I don't know why they learn from me and then they reach out their knowledge to others and they refuse to acknowledge that they learned it from me. Whatever be the reason why they are acting in this way, let me warn them that this is not the road of integrity. People will eventually lose confidence in you since you only copycats and you lack the courage and you lack the integrity to say, I learned it from him. I have always honored my teacher, Maulana Dr. Fazlur Rahman Ansari. I learned from him, and what I learned from him has helped me to become what Allah has caused me to become today. I always honor him, I always respect him, and I always say, I learned it from him. That is the road to integrity. These people who are copying from me and preaching as though it is their own knowledge when they've learned it from me, they are lacking in integrity. And if you walk along that road, eventually you will lose confidence. People will lose confidence in you because you do not have integrity. Let me warn them that the road to integrity is if you learn something from someone, you must give credit to him.
My last question to you is, when will you retire? You're 80 years old, and by the moon, I think you're 83, you said, and you're traveling all over the world tirelessly. When will this end? When will you retire?
If Allah is kind to me, then maybe while I'm traveling in some distant land, far away from my home, living out of a suitcase, he might take me away. That would be an honorable death. But I don't know how long Allah has forgiven for me. Once you're the student of Maulana Fathur Rahman Ansari, there is no rest, there is no retirement. You continue your work until Allah calls you away.
Any advice for us who are trying to learn from you and trying to deal with Akhir Zaman? Any last?
The best gift I'm leaving behind me when Allah calls me away is the Quran and the moon. No one taught it to me in my life. I had to discover it on my own. The method of reciting the Quran as Allah recited it, the correct ajza, and to complete the recitation of the Quran every lunar month. this is the best gift that I'm leaving behind to all my students when Allah calls me away. Please read the Quran in the moon.